welcome to Fraser's, Bants and Brews. This is our brew guide section. So I'm going to show you today how to brew a V60. A V60 is a method where we use gravity, hot water and coffee and a paper filter to extract the flavour that we're looking for. And it's a very intimidating method, but I think done correctly can be really interesting. You can pull flavours out of coffee that you wouldn't normally get out of like an espresso machine or a cafetiere. It's kind of sits in the middle bit ground. It's very delicate, but it also has a lot of complexity, and personally it's one of my favourite ways of making coffee. So I'm using the Ethiopian Guji today. Guji is a region within Ethiopia, and it's kind of one of a really high grade origins that produces some amazing coffees, and this happens to be a natural processed coffee as well, which personally it's one of my more favourite coffees that I like to brew with. So I'll start showing you how I fold my paper filter, influence everything, what weight I'm going to use, and then we'll go from there. So like I said, this is a V60. This is like a cone with a hole in the bottom. So if I just chuck water in there, obviously everything will fall out. So I'm going to use a paper filter to slow that method down and also get rid of all my coffee grinds. So the way I do this is I fold over this little edge, and it's like a serrated edge. I fold that down first because then it fits nice and snugly in my little filter. I open that up, and then I like to fold that 4 times. So I go once, twice, and thrice. 3 times, not 4 times. And that kind of just lets it open up, so it's the same shape as what you get with the cone, so it's a nice snug fit. So that goes in, and then now I just want to rinse that through, because the paper filter, when they come, they're fantastic at stopping coffee going through, but it's made out of paper, so it's going to have a little bit of what we call paper dusty within there. So I'm just going to use my kettle. So I've got some nice boiled water. Depending on the coffee that you're going to use, ideally you want, as a rule of thumb, the darker a roast is, the lower your brewing temperature should be. Good rule of thumb is a really dark roast, like some Steel City is one of the ones that we do. You want something about 92 degrees brewing temperature. For an Ethiopian, or for any coffee that's on the lighter side of the spectrum of the roast that we do, or what you can get, you want a higher brewing temperature, simply because the more roasting has been done, the more the coffee has been broken down by the roasting process. We're trying to use hot water to act as a catalyst to brew this coffee in a short period of time. So hotter water will result in a better extraction of the coffee. So I want to preheat and rinse first. So I'm using a nice direction on that. And I'm using a gooseneck kettle today. So a gooseneck kettle basically just describes a spout. It's just hot water and I'm just pouring it. But the action of having this spout allows me to control the pour. So instead of just chucking it in, I have a little bit more control over the process. This helps a lot. So now my filter's been rinsed, you can see it's nice and moist. I'm just going to lift this back out just a touch, because I don't want it sticking to the side. I want it to be just loose, because all these little like channels that are within it help direct the water through the whole process. So I just want that to rest on there. Now I've got my coffee here. This is the Ethiopian that I talked about. Now I've gone for a grind that's kind of similar to table salt. It's probably the best way to describe it. All grinders will be different. They'll all have different settings. So it's hard to say use number 3 or number 2 or number 6. Saying that the consistency is like table salt will give you a better result at home. So then I'm going to put my coffee into here. I've got 40 grams of the Ethiopian. Now that is a high dose, but I like to go higher because the roast is lighter. So it still gives me body. I don't want it to be acidic or sharp. I still want a nice bit of body, but I'm going to get a lot of flavour from that. So I've leveled out my grinds, so it's all nice and even. And then what I do is I just like to just pick my finger in the middle and just make a little light hole in the center. So I can start pouring water in here and gradually work my way out. So I'm going to zero off my scale that I'm using today. And this allows the whole thing to be zeroed off, so I know exactly how much water I'm putting into the whole process. And ideally, the end result of what I'm aiming for here is 40 grams is going to go in, and I'm going to result with about 450 grams of water, which gram for milliliters is 1 to 1. So that's 450 ml of water I'm going to get out. So I'll start pouring now. So I'll start with the gooseneck kettle and a slow pour right in the center, just to get it nice and evenly distributed. Once I've got about 60 grams of water, which is about there, I want to let that sit. This is freshly roasted coffee. It's proper coffee. We don't do rubbish stuff here. So it's going to gas a lot. Part of the processing of roasting is that it produces a lot of CO2, and that's what you can see here. The hot water is going to act as that catalyst and really make that gas come out of the carbohydrate shell that it's within. So once I've seen that gas up quite a bit, which I have there, and it's bloomed up nicely. It's a technical word if you want to use them, blooming. Now I want to start pouring, but I'm going to do this as like a pulse sitting. I'm going to do really slow pours. So I'll start again in the center, and I just want to add a little bit at a time. You see that gas is going away? That's what I'm looking for. So then just go back and just keep adding bump, 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 little bits of pulses until I hit my number that I want, which is 450. I tend to find when I hit about 200 mils, it wants to kind of go over the side. That's fine. What you want to try and avoid is going down the sides of the paper. By running the water straight through the coffee, you'll extract the coffee. If you run down the side, unfortunately, it has a tendency to channel the water down the side. So that's what I want to try and avoid, basically. So give it some more. I'm doing this in about 20 to 30 mil of water intervals. I don't really want to add in too much too quick, and it's a nice slow extraction. I tend to aim for a time of about 3 minutes in total of brewing time. I don't want to go too long, and I don't want to go too quick. 3 minutes I find is a nice little sweet spot. There we go. And I'm just following, with the control that I've got with this gooseneck kettle, it allows me to really pinpoint into the center of where I want to go. So as you can see, I've got a nice level bed now, and I'm not pouring down the side still, I'm just pouring in the center. I just keep bump, 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 adding that little 20-30 grams at a time. And we're at 400 mils now, so I'm just gonna start making sure that I don't overfill this, but I'm still giving it a nice gentle pour, so I'll add a little bit more again. One little bit more. And that's a lot. So that's all my water there. I've got 452 grams of water, so a little bit over. And then once I've got to that point, I'll just give it a little bit of a tap. And that tap just levels that bed of coffee out on the bottom. So as the water continues to drip through, it extracts all the flavor that I'm after. So there we go. So you can see the water's now disappeared, and I've got a really nice level bed of coffee. It's not high, it's not low. It's also not super smooth. It's actually quite granular. That's what you're looking for. You don't want to have a super smooth top. Granular means that you've not created like a silt bed on the top. It means that you're extracting it properly, and this is what you're looking for. So now I'm just going to show you how to get rid of this. So you fold your filter again over the center, back over that side, back over that side, and back over that side. Then you can pick the whole thing up. There's a nice little tea bag just to go into the bin. There we go. That goes off the top, and now we can drink it. So we've done our brewing, now we get to pour it. So I'm just going to pour into my glass, and you can see it's a nice crystal clear brew. This is going to be really, really full of flavour, but like I said before, it lacks a little bit of body, and in the coffee industry we call that clarity. But for me, this is really probably one of the better brewing methods out there. It's it's not complicated at all, and it's really easy to brew. And you can have experiments of how much coffee you put in, how much water you brew with, how long you brew it with. These are really good. This is really good fun. But I'd say probably the one thing to watch is your grind. You don't want to go too coarse. Coarse will speed the process up too much, and you won't get extraction because you're just using gravity on this. And that's it, really. So let's have a taste. Wow, delicious.